Everyone single file.
What a filthy job.
Could be worse.
How?
Could be raining.
If you play Pathfinder for any length of time, you'll notice that every class has a ridiculous number of more specialized versions called archetypes. Some of them are viciously overpowered, others have cool gimmicks, and some are stupid and pointless. Today I wanted to share 5 archetypes that make for fun characters with interesting skill sets. They're not the most powerful or the most optimized, but they're all worth your time and attention. Starting with an Inquisitor archetype called the Living Grimoire. The Living Grimoire starts with a feature called Holy Book. This is a big ironclad holy book that you hit people with. It deals damage as a cold iron light mace, and you are proficient with the book as a weapon. You get a +1 bonus to attack because it's a masterwork holy book, and it can be enchanted like a magic weapon. This ability replaces the Inquisitor's monster lore. Next, the Living Grimoire has different spellcasting. It runs off your intelligence score rather than your wisdom score. This makes Living Grimoires good for high intelligence races, like elves and tieflings. You prepare your spells ahead of time, and receive the same number of spells per day as a war priest of your level. Finally, you add spells to your holy book like a wizard. This replaces Cunning Initiative. Next, the Living Grimoire gets Sacred Word. Your book does scaling damage like the sacred weapon of a war priest. And at 4th level, you can enhance your book like a Magus' sword. This replaces your First Judgment. Finally, you will get Blessed Script. At 5th level, you tattoo a spell of 2nd level or lower onto yourself. You can prepare this spell without your book, as well as cast it 1 time per day as a spell-like ability. This also scales, giving you additional tattooed spells at 8th, 12th, and 16th level. This replaces Bane, Greater Bane, 2nd Judgment, and 3rd Judgment. Like I said, this is a cool class for intelligence-based races. Because of that intelligence score, you can conceivably have a lot of skills that you're good at, and you're just going to have so much fun hitting things with your big book. Also, expect a lot of puns, like book 'em, or throw the book at 'em. The next archetype I'd like to tell you about is a half-elf specific witch archetype called the Bonded Witch. Instead of the regular familiar, the Bonded Witch gets a bonded item, just like the wizard class feature. The bonded item contains your spells, but you can still learn new spells from scrolls like normal. At 2nd level, you can use your bonded item to cast a spell from a list of spells granted by the item. Unfortunately, this is only 1 spell, 1 time per day. You can't use each of them 1 time per day, which is really too bad. The different types of items you can choose from are Amulet, Ring, Staff, Wand, and my personal favorite, Weapon. Half-elves can take an alternative racial trait to give themselves a martial weapon proficiency or an exotic weapon proficiency. So this gives you a huge range of weapons to choose from. The spells you can cast with your weapon are Warding Weapon at 2nd, Versatile Weapon at 4th, Greater Magic Weapon at 6th level, 8th level will give you Telekinetic Charge, 10th level, you get Energy Siege Shot, 12th level, Blade Barrier, and this is the creme de la creme in my opinion, 14th level will give you Arcane Cannon. This archetype opens up a lot of fun possibilities. And I think it deals with one of the problems that the witch has, i.e. the familiar being really vulnerable and not that useful. Next up, we have a great Cavalier archetype, Ghost Rider. A Ghost Rider Cavalier receives Ghost Mount. This functions as a spiritualist's spectral companion, and it takes the form of a typical mount available to a Cavalier of your level and size category. It is an animal with the Phantom type. Now, obviously, this replaces the Mount class feature. Also, at first level, you'll receive Frightful Gaze. As a standard action, the Ghost Rider can cause creatures within a range of 30 feet to make a will save equal to 10 plus half the Ghost Rider level, plus the Ghost Rider's Charisma mod. On a failed save, they are paralyzed with fear for 1 round. After a successful save, the creature is immune for 24 hours. You can use this a number of times per day, equal to your Charisma modifier. This ability replaces Tactician, Greater Tactician, and Master Tactician. At 3rd level, you receive Fearless. This makes you immune to fear. Each ally within 10 feet of the Ghost Rider receives a +4 morale bonus on saving throws against fear effects. This replaces Cavalier's Charge. At 5th level, you get Spirited Mount. The mount ignores difficult terrain, and at 8th level, it gains an ability to use Water Walk at will. This replaces Expert Trainer and Banner. Finally, at 11th level, the Ghost Rider receives Ghost Wind. The Ghost Rider's mount can use Airwalk at will for up to 1 round at a time. And at 14th level, you can just fly. This replaces Mighty Charge and Greater Banner. This is a great archetype for certain high charisma races. The idea of a Drow Ghost Rider is very cool. The same with an Ifrit. It's also great for Cavaliers who are worried about their mounts either getting lost or dying. Because it's already dead, it's not like you can make it any worse. Finally, the archetype has some awesome crowd control abilities. So if you like the idea of just paralyzing a group of enemies and riding them down with like a scythe or some other like reach weapon and just chopping heads off left and right, you can totally do that. The next archetype is Water Dancer. This is a monk archetype. Starting off, you get Elemental Focus. This grants you Elemental Focus Water of the Kineticist. You get Hydrokinesis and the Water-based Blast. You cannot use these abilities while armored or encumbered. This replaces Flurry of Blows, Stunning Fist, and Quivering Palm. Next up, you get Naiad's Grace. While unarmored and unencumbered, you add 1 point per monk level of your Charisma bonus to your AC as a dodge bonus. And you use Charisma to determine the amount of ki you have. This replaces the monk's 1st level bonus feat. Next, Unarmed Strike. Treat your Unarmed Strike as 4 levels lower. Next, you get the Burn ability. This functions like the Kineticist Burn class feature. This replaces Evasion. Next, Wild Talents. At 2nd level and every 4 levels thereafter, you can select a new wild talent available to your element. This replaces your bonus feats at 2nd, 6th, 10th, 14th, and 18th level. Finally, at 4th level, the Water Dancer can move across any liquid for up to 20 feet plus 10 feet per 2 monk levels they possess. You can even go up waterfalls as Spider Climb. If you run out of movement, you fall into the water as normal. This replaces Slow Fall. Being able to run a lot of your monk stuff off of your charisma opens up some interesting new races and skill sets for your Water Dancer to have. Now, obviously, this archetype changes a lot about the monk, and you're going to need to really rethink how you do things. I think this one is best used to use your monk-enhanced mobility stuff to really get around the battlefield quickly and hit people with a lot of these water-based attacks. This would do well in a sea-based campaign or anything that'll allow you to use that across-water movement and the wild talents you get from the Kineticist. Finally, the truly spooky investigator archetype, the Gravedigger. First, the Gravedigger has different proficiencies than the regular investigator. You are proficient with all simple weapons, scythes, and can fight with grave-digging tools like shovels. And you are treated as though you had the Caught Off Guard feat. This removes improvised weapon penalties. Next, the Gravedigger gets limited alchemy. This means you can still use extracts like any investigator, but you don't get any of the other benefits from the alchemy class feature. So, no more crazy bonuses to brewing potions. The Gravedigger gets grave magic. You can sacrifice unused extract slots of a specific level or lower to cast spell-like abilities. A first level extract will give you Expeditious Excavation. Second level, Calm Spirit. Third level, Speak with Dead. Fourth level, Rest Eternal. Fifth level, Call Spirit. And sixth level, Undeath to Death. The Gravedigger also receives Relic Focus. You can use a bone that you've dug up as an occultist necromancy implement. You don't have mental focus, so you don't get the resonance powers. But once per day, you can expend one use of inspiration to use any focus powers you know that have a cost of 1 mental focus. You can do this 1 additional time per day at 3rd level and every 3 levels thereafter. You can also expend 1 point of inspiration to cast Grave Words as a spell-like ability. This replaces Trap Sense. At 2nd level, the Gravedigger gets Deny Death. This gives you scaling bonuses against death effects and energy drain. This functions much like the Investigator's poison resistance that it replaces. Next, at 2nd level, you get Read the Bones. This allows you to perform an object reading like an occultist, but only on corpses, bones, and other remains. This replaces poison lore. Next, you get Focus Talent. This allows you to select occultist focus powers for the implement schools that you know when you could get an investigator talent. Next, Kill the Dead. This means that your studied combat functions as 2 levels lower against non-undead. Finally, Grave Lamp. At 4th level, you get a Lantern. This functions as an occultist conjuration implement, and it replaces Swift Alchemy. Obviously, a Gravedigger is going to be really good in an undead-heavy campaign. And considering how common an enemy-type undead are, you certainly have potential out there to get into that kind of situation. This is one of those archetypes with a great gimmick and a lot of personality. And if you're the type of player that you don't always know what to do with yourself in RP, I think the Gravedigger is great, because so much of what your character is going to be doing is really contained in the idea of the class. Thank you for watching this archetype video for Pathfinder. If you're interested in more class analysis and strategy guides, check us out right here on YouTube. And find the D6 Damage Discord if you want to take your game even further, with in-depth discussion on world building, homebrew content, looking for groups, and more.